Today's topic is going to be about how to plan Google search ads for your Shopify store if you're on a small budget. Maybe you are in one of these two situations with your Shopify store. You're running Facebook or Instagram ads, but you're not running Google search ads yet. Or you are running Google shopping ads for a while and they have been really successful, and now you're wondering, should I also test Google search ads? Before you do, there is something important to understand. Google search ads is the first campaign type that Google rolled out. And it's the most powerful ad type. They work because they let you show up when someone is already looking for a product or service. Like yours, they are built around one of the strongest signals in marketing. Someone goes to Google and they type in what they want, and your ads get a chance to show up at that moment. And that's what makes search ads powerful. But it is also what makes them very expensive, because when you run search ads, you are not just paying for traffic or clicks. You're paying to show up in front of people who are actively looking to buy something right now. And that can work incredibly well. But if your keywords targeting or landing pages are off, it can also get expensive very quickly. So before you launch search ads, you need to understand how they work, how they differ from Facebook or Instagram ads, how much it will cost you, and whether they actually make sense for your business. Hi, I'm Clarice Lin, the ROI Doctor. I help Shopify store owners like you double their store revenue with profitable Google ads. If you're new to the channel, welcome! If you want to see how your own ads are performing, I have a free 9-point checklist for you at claricelin.com. It's called the Google Ads Pulse Check. It will tell you if you're attracting the right shoppers or if you're just burning cash. And you will also know if there's a problem with your landing page or if there's a problem with your ads. You can download it below using the link pinned in the description and comments. Now, before you decide whether search ads make sense for your Shopify store, you first need to understand how they are different from Facebook and Instagram ads and shopping ads, because all three can bring in sales, but they do it in very different ways. With Facebook and Instagram ads, people are usually not looking for your product at that moment. They are just scrolling, watching videos, liking the posts, and your ad is trying to catch their attention. So a lot depends on how well your ad grabs the attention and gets the right person to click. Google Shopping works differently. With shopping ads, the person is already on Google searching for something to buy. They can see your product, the price, the image, and the store name right away. So with shopping ads, a lot depends on how attractive your product looks, how competitive your price is, and how well your product data is set up. So both shopping and search ads are based on what someone types into Google. The big difference is how you set them up. With shopping ads, Google is mainly using your product feed to match your products to searches. With search ads, you are choosing the keywords yourself, writing the ads yourself, and deciding which page people land on. That gives you more control over what you're targeting and how you want to be showing up. So the next question is, when does it actually make sense to run Google search ads for your Shopify store? First, people need to be searching for the product you're selling, because search ads only work if there's already demand you can capture. If nobody is going to Google and typing in the kind of product you sell, then search ads are going to be much harder to work. So how can you check that? A simple place to start is Google itself. You type in the kind of product you sell and see what comes up. When you type in your keywords, you can look at auto suggest and then see what other related keywords come up together. Then you check out the ads. You can check out what are the types of products that are showing up. Are they similar to your products? Then you can scroll down to the bottom of the Google search results. You can check out the section people also search for and look at the kinds of search terms Google is connecting to that product. Then you use Google Keyword Planner to get a rough sense of the search volume and the competition. You go to Tools, under Planning, click on Keyword Planner. And then you click on Discover New Keywords. When you type in your keywords, you can see the estimated monthly search volume. You get a rough idea of how competitive those searches are, what it may cost to appear lower on the page, and what it may cost to appear near the top. Pay attention to how much it costs to be at the top, because showing near the top usually gives you a better chance of being seen and clicked on. Before you spend money on search ads, you want to see real signs that people are actually searching for what you sell. And these tools help you understand whether the demand is there, how people are searching, and what they may cost you so you can plan your budget before you start. But demand is only one part of the picture. The next question is whether your numbers can actually support the cost of that traffic. Because if you remember earlier, I mentioned how search ads are much more expensive than shopping ads. And this is what I'm going to share further. Now, just because people are searching for your product does not automatically mean search ads will make sense for your store. You need to first look at the cost. Because if the clicks are too expensive for your margins and your average order value, then search ads can get very unprofitable very quickly. So, once you have checked there is such demand from the tools I've mentioned, then the next question is this: can my store actually afford to pay for that traffic? That means looking at your profit margins, your average order value, and your customer lifetime value. Because those three numbers will tell you whether search ads have room to work or whether they are likely to eat through your budget really quickly and you will end up being very unprofitable. So let's break that down. Number one, what are your profit margins? Let's say your average order value is $100. If your margins is 20%, you only have $20 before ad spend. If your margin is 40%, you have $40 before ad spend. And that difference matters a lot because search traffic is often not cheap. The average cost per click, if you want to get top spots, is very unlikely to be under $1. So if you only have $20 to work with before ad spend, there might just not be enough room to pay for the traffic, get high value conversions, and still make a profit. But if you have $40 to work with, you're in a much stronger position. That's why profit margins matter so much. Number two, what is your average order value? This is where you need to go a step further and look at the actual numbers. Now you need to ask, how much is each click likely to cost? And how many clicks do I need to get a sale? Let's say your average order value is $100 and your margins is 40%. That gives you $40 before ad spend. Now let's say your average cost per click is $2 and your conversion rate is 2.81%, which is the industry benchmark for e-commerce store. That means you need about 36 clicks to get one sale. So 36 clicks at $2 each means you're spending about $72 to get that order. But you only made $40 before ad spend. So in that case, the numbers do not work. And that's why average order value matters so much. If your average order value is too low, there may simply not be enough room to cover the costs of search traffic. Now, let's keep everything the same, but raise the average order value to $200. At a 40% margin, that gives you $80 before ad spend. If it still costs you about $72 to get the sale, now the numbers look very different. You're still left with about $8 before other costs. That is still tight, but it is a much workable starting point. Now 2.81% is just a benchmark. It is not a ceiling. If your campaign gets better, your landing page improves and you're targeting the right searches, your conversion rate can absolutely go higher. We have seen that ourselves. For one of our clients, that search campaign started below 2% before starting to work with us. And then after improving the campaign, optimizing it, we got it up to the 3 to 4% range. And that makes a big difference because once your conversion rate goes up, you need fewer clicks to get a sale. So the numbers start to look much, much better. At the same time, conversion rate also depends a lot on the industry, the product, the price point, and how strong the traffic is. So do not treat 2.81% as a rule, just treat it as a useful starting point. Number 3, what is your customer lifetime value? And that's really important because sometimes such ads may not look great if you only judge them on the first sale. But that's not always the full picture. If a customer buys from you once and never comes back, then you have to make the numbers work on that first order. But if that customer comes back and buys again later, now the math starts to look very different because you only paid once to acquire that customer. Let's say it costs you $72 in ad spend to get one sale. And on that first order, you only make $40 before ad spend. So on that first purchase, the numbers do not work. You're down $32. But if that same customer comes back and places another $100 order later, and you still make $40 before ad spend, now things change. You already paid to acquire them the first time. So that second order gives you another $40 without paying the same acquisition cost again. Now, across 2 orders, you have made $80 before adspend and you only spent $72 to acquire the customer the first time. Now, the numbers work. And if they come back a third time, it gets even better. That's why customer lifetime value matters so much. If people tend to buy from you more than once, such ads makes a lot of sense, even if the first purchase looks tight. But if most customers only buy once, then you need the first order to work on its own. So when you're thinking about search ads, do not just ask, can I make money on the first sale? Also ask, what is this customer worth to my business over time? Because that can completely change how much you can afford to pay to acquire them. So when does Google search make sense for a Shopify store on a small budget? It usually makes sense when people are already searching for what you sell. Your margins give you room to pay for traffic. Your average order value is high enough to support the cost of the clicks. And ideally, your customers come back and buy more than once. If those things are true, such ads can be a very strong campaign because you're showing up in front of people who are already searching for what they want. But if such demand is weak, your margins are low, your average order value is low, and most customers only buy once, I do not recommend such ads for you. That's why you do not want to switch on such ads just because shopping ads is working. You want to look at the numbers first and make sure it makes sense financially for your business. If such ads do make sense for your store, then the next step is getting the setup right. For such ads, you do not need merchant center like you do with shopping ads, but you do need a few basics in place. You need your Google Ads account set up properly. If you're on Shopify store, you also want your Google and YouTube app connected because that helps with the conversion tracking and connecting your store with Google. And conversion tracking is absolutely critical. Why? Because it tells you what happens after someone clicks on your ad. Did they buy or did they not? Because clicks on their own do not tell you very much. You can get lots of clicks and still lose money. What matters fundamentally at the end of the day is whether those clicks turn into a sale. And if your conversion tracking is not set up properly, you cannot really tell which ads or search queries are making you money. You're basically guessing. It is also important because Google uses that data to optimize your campaigns. So if the tracking is wrong, Google can end up learning from the wrong signals and spending your budget badly. That is why conversion tracking is not optional. It is one of the most important parts of the setup. I would also have Google Analytics set up so you can see what people do after they click, what pages do they visit, which pages they visit most often. And also set up Microsoft Clarity because it lets you see how people behave on the page, where they drop off and what may be stopping them from buying. That way, if something is not working, you can tell whether the problem is the traffic, the landing page, or the checkout experience. And if you want to learn more about planning your Google Shopping ads on a small budget, check out my other video on how to plan Google Shopping ads for your Shopify store if you have a small budget. Link in the top right-hand corner of the screen. So once the setup is in place, the next step is strategy. And with search ads, strategy starts with keywords. Because unlike shopping ads, where Google is mainly using your shopping feed to build your campaign and target the right people, search campaigns are built around the keywords you choose. Those keywords help tell Google what kind of searches you want your ads to show up for. So if you want to target the right people, you also need to understand how keyword matching works. Keyword match types control how closely someone's search needs to match the keyword you put into your campaign. The three main match types are broad match, phrase match, and exact match. Let's say you sell gold hoop earrings. If you use broad match for gold hoop earrings, Google has much more freedom. So your ad could show up for searches like women's earrings, gold earrings, or hoop earrings. Those searches are related, but they are broader and some of them may not be a good fit for what you are actually selling. If you use phrase match for gold hoop earrings, the search stays much closer to that phrase. So your ad might show for searches like small gold hoop earrings or gold hoop earrings for women. That's more controlled. Then you have exact match. If you use gold hoop earrings exact match, you are being much more selective. You're telling Google you want to show for searches that are very close to that exact product. The same thing applies if you sell supplements. If your keyword is whey protein powder, broad match could open the door to searches like protein supplement or best protein powder. Phrase match keeps things tighter, and exact match keeps you much focused around whey protein powder and very close versions of it. And this is why with a small budget, I would usually recommend to start with exact match. Because when your budget is limited, you cannot afford to give Google too much freedom. You want tighter control over the searches you are paying for. If you only sell gold hoop earrings and you go too broad, you could end up paying for clicks from people looking for pearl earrings, silver earrings, or stud earrings. That's wasted ad budget. But if you start with exact match for gold hoop earrings or small gold hoop earrings, you're much more likely to attract the kind of people actually looking for what you're selling. The same goes for whey protein powder. If you go too broad, you could end up paying for clicks from people looking for meal replacements, vegan protein, or general fitness information. But if you stay tighter with exact match, you give yourself a better chance of paying for searches that are much closer to your actual product. And once you have the right keywords, the next step is making sure your ad matches those searches. This is where ad relevance matters. If someone searches for gold hoop earrings and your ad clearly mentions gold hoop earrings in the headline and description, that's a much better fit than a vague ad that just says shop jewelry online. The same goes for whey protein powder. If someone searches for whey protein powder and your ad clearly mentions that product, it feels much more relevant than a generic ad about supplements or health products. Then comes the landing page. This part is just as important. If someone clicks on an ad for gold hoop earrings, do not send them to your homepage. No. Send them to the actual gold hoop earrings product page, or at least a collection page that's directly about gold hoop earrings. If someone clicks on an ad for whey protein powder, do not send them to a general supplements page. Send them to the page that matches what they search for, because this is really what makes search ads work. If someone searches for the product you sell, sees that exact product clearly mentioned in your ad, and then lands on the exact page for that product, the whole journey feels very relevant and consistent. That gives you a much better chance of getting the click and the sale. But if someone searches for gold hoop earrings, click on an ad that just says shop jewelry online and then lands on your homepage, the experience is much weaker. And that usually hurts performance, because Google is looking at whether your keyword, your ad, and your landing page actually fit together. That is where quality score comes in. Quality score is basically Google's way of judging how well those pieces fit together. It looks at how relevant your keyword is to your ad, how likely people are to click, and how good the landing page experience is. So if the keyword matches the ad and the ad matches the landing page, you're much more likely to get the right click, a better conversion rate, and less wasted ad spend. And with a small budget, that matters even more, because you do not have room for loose targeting, weak ads, or sending people to the wrong page. And there's one more thing that matters a lot, especially if your budget is small. It is not just about choosing the right keywords, it is also about blocking the wrong ones. That's where negative keywords come in. As your campaign is running, regularly review your search terms report and identify those search terms that are getting clicks but no conversions or have nothing to do with your products. By adding them as negative keywords, you stop your ads from showing for searches that are not a good fit. So let's go back to the gold hoop earrings example. If you sell premium gold hoop earrings, you might not want your ads showing for searches like cheap earrings, silver earrings, or earring repair. Those clicks are much less likely to turn into a sale. The same goes for whey protein powder. If you sell whey protein, you may not want to show for searches like vegan protein, protein bars, free protein samples. Those are not the searches you want to spend money on. And with a small budget, this matters even more, because every click from the wrong person or from someone who is just researching and just not ready to buy it takes money away from the searches that could actually bring you a sale. So negative keywords are a very important part of keeping your search campaign tight and profitable. Now let's talk about budget, because once you have the right keywords, the right ad, and the right landing page, and the wrong searches blocked out, then the next question is how much budget you actually need to give this a fair test. If your average cost per click is around $2, I would usually think of a small budget as around $20 to $30 a day. That gives you roughly 10 to 15 clicks a day. That is not a huge amount of traffic, which is why exactly you need to stay very focused. With a budget like that small, every click matters. So I will start with one campaign, one ad group, and around 3 to 5 very closely related keywords. Because if you spread that budget across too many keywords or too many ad groups, it becomes much harder to see what is actually working. The same goes for locations. If your budget is small, do not try to target too many areas at once, because that spreads the budget even thinner and makes it harder to get useful data. Now, if you do not have that kind of budget, my honest advice is just to wait. Wait till your shopping ads are working successfully, well, and then you wait until you have enough budget to test search ads properly. Because if your budget is too low, it becomes much harder to collect enough data, much harder to judge performance, and much easier to make the wrong decision too early. You might think search ads are not working, when really the budget was just too small to give the campaign a fair chance. So if you're not in a position to spend around $20 to $30 a day, I would focus first on getting your shopping ads profitable and stable. Then once you have more budget and more room to test, that's the point where search ads start to make more sense. And in terms of results, what should you expect? At the start, do not expect search ads to suddenly scale your store overnight. What you should expect first is data. You should expect to see what search terms are coming through, whether people are clicking, whether those clicks are relevant, whether they are exploring the pages, add to cart, and whether your landing page is doing its job. Then over time, you want to see whether those clicks start to turn into conversions at a cost that makes sense for your business. So early on, the results you are really looking for is not to scale. It is proof. Proof that the right people are searching, proof that they are clicking, they're exploring the pages, wanting to know more about your products, and proof that they are buying at a cost that works for your business financially. If that proof is there, then you can start building from there. So to sum it up, should you run Google search ads for your Shopify store on a small budget? The answer is, it depends on your numbers. If people are actively searching for what you sell, your margins are healthy, your average order value gives you enough room, and your customers may buy more than once, then yes, search ads can be a very strong next step after shopping ads. Well, because that is often a good sign that the demand and the numbers are there. But if such demand is weak, your margins are tight, your average order value is low, or your budget is too small to test properly, then I will not rush into search ads. I will focus first on getting your shopping ads profitable and stable. Then once you have budget and more room to test, you can come back to do search ads properly. Because search ads can work really well, but only when the numbers make sense, the setup is right, and the strategy is on point. So do not treat search ads like something you should just switch on because shopping ads is working. Look at the numbers first, make sure the setup is in place. Keep your strategy focused, and then test it in a controlled way. If you do that, you give yourself a much better chance of turning search ads into a profitable channel for your Shopify store. And if you need help figuring out whether your Google ads are actually bringing in the right traffic, do not forget to check out my 9-point checklist at claricelin.com. It's called the Google Ads Pulse Check. Link in the description and pinned comment. It will help you to spot whether the issue is your targeting, your landing page, or your overall setup. If you need help scaling your Google Ads campaigns and getting consistent performance, get in touch at claricelin.com. I help Shopify store owners achieve their business goals with profitable Google Ads. Link in the description and pinned comment. And if you have more questions about running Google search ads for a Shopify store, drop them in the comments section below. And if you found this useful and valuable and you enjoyed it, remember to give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on how to double your Shopify store sales with profitable Google Ads. I'm Claricelin, the ROI Doctor, signing off. Till the next video, stay profitable.